Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another session of The Sanctuary. This is our space for reflection, growth, and connection. I'm your girl and guide, Mariah Miles, licensed therapist, minister, and overall creative, and I am so glad that you're here with me today. March has arrived, and I'm feeling it. There is this major shift, right? That energy of spring that's just kind of dancing in the air. That's really beckoning us to blossom, to release what no longer serves us, and to really embrace that beauty of renewal. We continue to follow along with the prompts from my journal, Busy Minds, Peaceful Hearts. And so sit back, relax. It's time to tune in. As we step into this month, we're gently guided toward the sacred practice of mindfulness. And it's not just a technique, but it's a way of being, a way of living that really encourages a deep connection to both our inner selves and this breathtaking experience of this world around us. And that might sound a little woo-woo, maybe a little cheesy, but mindfulness allows us to be present, that when we're encountering something, that we can have that sense of awe, where things do feel breathtaking. So March is a loving reminder to slow down, to come home to ourselves, and to engage fully with each moment, fostering this sense of awareness and appreciation in our daily lives. Before we leap into the new, let's pause and honor this journey that we've already shared. Last month, we wrapped up this sensation of warmth around gratitude, right? We explored a lot of transitions and what it means to allow gratitude to guide us and support us. And last session, we really kind of focused on the challenges of the what's next feeling and how, again, how gratitude can support us through that. And if you're joining us for the first time, or you'd like a sweet reminder, please go back and give session 10 a listen. Such a great way to start and to connect. Now, with this energy of spring, right, kind of on our backs, it's not quite there, but we're feeling it. Let's gently set our intentions for this month. It's as if we're planting our own seeds in this fertile earth. Mindfulness at its heart is really about cultivating awareness of the present moment. It's about turning our attention inward to witness this dance, so to speak, of our thoughts and our emotions and really our physical sensations without judgment. And from a psychological perspective, that's really a powerful tool for managing stress and anxiety and reactivity. And then from a spiritual perspective, it's a pathway to presence, this connection with the divine within and the divine without. This month we'll have the opportunity to embody mindfulness in many forms, allowing each experience to deepen your understanding of yourself, your interconnectedness, with all of life and the sacredness of each moment. So let's begin by sitting with this month's quote and affirmation, allowing them to settle deep, right, within our heart, within our body, is just like a soft, warm blanket. Kind of reminds me of like a chilly spring evening, and how the intention just creates this warmth in our heart. So our affirmation for March is, I choose to embrace the present moment and mindfully direct my actions towards growth and awareness. I invite you to let this affirmation be a guiding light, reminding you that you are the artist of your own inner world. And our guiding quote for the month comes from the wise and beautiful bell hooks. What we do in our lives is important, but the direction in which we move is even more important. What we do in our lives is important, but the direction in which we move is even more important. I want to go back to our affirmation. For me, I have this, I guess you could say, a ritual where really integrating and affirming an affirmation, saying it 3 times, something about it allows for it just to deeply root itself. So I invite you to say this affirmation with me to affirm its power. I choose to embrace the present moment and mindfully direct my actions towards growth and awareness. I choose to embrace the present moment and mindfully direct my actions towards growth and awareness. I choose to embrace the present moment and mindfully direct my actions towards growth and awareness. Take a moment to breathe these words in. And I invite you to get curious. What direction do you feel called to move in this month? What will you focus on to support your growth, your awareness, your connection to something greater than yourself? And as always, you can pause the recording. I will be here when you return. And maybe you reflect in your journal on those thoughts. What direction do you feel called to move in this month? What will you focus on to support your growth, your awareness, your connection to something greater than yourself? Another invitation is to review this month's somatic practices before you begin, and choose one each week to try as you set your intention and work through your prompts. As I'm recording this, today is Ash Wednesday. For those who are aware of the Catholic practice, as we go into Lent, I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I really grew up around that religion. And the takeaway for me is definitely setting the intention to connect in a way, to be disciplined in that way. And there's something really beautiful about all the religions and spiritual practices, those rituals, right? And this one is really about understanding self and what and where you're willing to push yourself, right? So setting that intention of growth. I'd like to introduce our somatic practice for this session, the VU sound. And this practice is a direct invitation to connect with your body into the present moment. This practice is about making a foghorn-like sound, and that might feel really different for people. We're going to make it as low as we can, almost like singing a bass-like sound. And it is a vocalization, so you might want to be somewhere where you feel comfortable to express in this way, right? Whether it's in your bedroom or your place or your car, or you can be outside, just wherever you feel comfortable. And we want it to vibrate through your torso, right? These sound waves. I'll do it first, and then I'll invite you to do it with me. I'm going to exhale all my breath, and then I'm going to take a deep inhale and then make the VU sound. And I'm going to go as long as I can until I have VU'd it all out. So here I go, exhaling the breath. Deep inhale. Okay. I hope you're ready. It's your turn now. So let's find a comfortable position. Wherever you are. And just allow yourself to settle in. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Whatever feels most natural, whatever feels right to you. Just noticing any tension and see if you can soften in those spaces. Perhaps you gently roll your shoulders back and down, allowing them to soften. And just notice what's supporting your body right now, what's holding you up and making you feel safe enough. And so gently exhaling the breath, exhaling through your mouth, letting all that breath out. Gently taking that deep inhale through your nose, feeling your lungs completely as if you're breathing in that fresh scent of the spring air. Really just imagine yourself drawing in that life force energy, that energy of spring, the energy of the universe. And now as you exhale slowly through your mouth, gently making that VU sound, that soft, low humming sound, letting that sound vibrate in your chest and throat, much like singing a bass-like lullaby to your own soul. It does sound like a foghorn, doesn't it? And imagine that this sound is releasing any tension, any worries, any thoughts that are keeping you from the present moment. Just allowing them to drift away like the clouds do. And I invite you to repeat this several times, coordinating the VU sound with your exhalations, allowing the sound to be gentle and natural. No need to force it. Simply letting the sound carry you deeper into your body, deeper into the present. Allowing this sound wave and its gentle vibration to really move your internal organs. And you want to feel it all the way down to your pelvic floor. And this should really be a tension release. So if you start to feel overly stimulated, this may not be the practice for you in this moment. And I invite you just to do a little bit of deep breathing and some grounding work, feeling your feet on the earth beneath you. And I invite you to check in. Notice how your body feels. Did you feel any release of tension? Any sense of calm? Any gentle shift in your energy? Allow yourself to simply be with whatever arises. I'm going to give you some space to continue this practice for those several times. Gently bringing yourself back to center again, allowing yourself to come back to today's session, gently opening your eyes, feeling yourself grounded in the space. Maybe you're seated, maybe you feel your feet on the earth, wiggle your toes. And I really hope that this Simple sound can bring you back to your center again and again throughout the day. Right? That little gentle touch on your heart. This week we're going to explore mindful eating, a practice that is both transformative and really deeply nourishing. And it's so perfectly aligned with the energy of spring. And spring is this time of rebirth, right? It's a time of renewal and growth. We see it in the blossoms kind of bursting forth, the longer days, the new life that is all around us. It's a time when we can most easily connect with the earth and find this sense of connection. It has me reminded about farmers markets, right? They're starting to open up more. There's vibrant colors and it's fresh and there's new produce. It's like a feast for the senses. And it's a reminder of the abundance that the earth has to offer. And as we shift our focus, I want to bring in some teachings of the revered Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh, who encourages us to see every act, even something as simple as eating, as a sacred opportunity. He invites us to understand that our food is a gift from the earth, and to eat in a way that honors both the food and our bodies. And I think there's many wise elders who give forth this knowledge. And so this next practice is just something that I'm exploring. So, I like those guided imagery, that visualization, using our imagination. So this is going to be one of those things we're playing with here. And let's begin by setting the scene a little bit. I want you to use your imagination. So imagine that you're at a local farmer's market. The air is filled with the scent of fresh herbs, the vibrant colors of early spring and early spring produce. And there's this sense of buzz in the community, right? There's an energy flowing there, like a painting that's just coming to life, right? It feels really vivid. Now I invite you to picture yourself holding a piece of fruit. Maybe it's a sun-ripened strawberry, or maybe like a really crisp apple. And first take a moment to just simply look at the fruit. Notice its color, its shape, its texture. Is it a deep, rich red or vibrant variation of a color? What are you noticing? Is the skin smooth or rough? And maybe you just close your eyes for a moment if you haven't already. And bring the fruit close to your nose. What sense do you notice? Is there a sweetness? Maybe some sort of clean aroma? What are you getting? Allow your senses to be your guide here. And then imagine that you hold the fruit in your hand and you just feel its weight, its temperature. Notice the sensations in your palm, in your fingers, and see if this simple act can ground you. Now let's imagine that we take a bite. And before you do, take a moment to pause. Notice any thoughts or emotions that arise. Are you hungry? Are you stressed? Are you rushing? You may have a dream of how your meal will be, right? This vision that you have for it. But what is in front of you might actually be different. And I wonder if you can accept the reality of this moment. Can you let go of any expectations or judgments and simply just be present with the food in front of you? Remember, you can't quite control this dream, right? This vision you have. But you can control your inner world. I invite you now to slowly imagine bringing the fruit to your mouth. We're going to savor this first bite, so take a small bite and then stop. Really notice the flavors. And notice maybe the textures, the sweetness, the tanginess, tartness. Imagine yourself chewing slowly, like really, really slowly. Allow your tongue to explore the sensations. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? And as you chew, perhaps you think about where this fruit came from. The farmer who nurtured it. Maybe the sun and rain that helped it grow. The earth that nourished it. And perhaps you have this sense of gratitude for this gift and the abundance of spring. And as you chew fully, allow yourself to chew each bite until it dissolves, until it becomes liquid, right? Really tasting the food. Pay attention to the act of chewing, how your body responds to the food. And when you're ready, allowing yourself to slowly swallow. Again, noticing the sensation as the food moves down your throat. And imagine yourself continuing to eat slowly, mindfully, savoring each bite. like a sacred ritual. And as you begin to eat mindfully, there might be times when you feel a craving for something unhealthy or a desire to rush through the meal. And perhaps you look at these feelings as invitations, right? What is your body telling you? Can you redirect your focus to the food that is right in front of you? You know, it's like remembering that rejection can lead to redirection. And this is the essence of mindful eating. And even though that this was using our imagination, I definitely invite you to bring it into real life, or whatever reality that looks like. It's not about following a diet or restricting yourself, right? That essence of mindful eating, but really about cultivating a deeper awareness of the experience of eating. And in this time of spring, it's about connecting with the renewal, the growth, and the abundance that this season offers. It's, you know, how they say art emulates life. And with each meal, you're really creating a masterpiece of nourishment, almost a symphony of these flavors and sensations. And I can't help to think about, as we cultivate this awareness, how it's important to acknowledge the challenges that the earth is facing, right? There's this shift happening, and it's been happening, right? This climate change and these natural disasters that are upon us, like wildfires and floods. And they are impacting the availability of crops. And we must remember how precious each bite is. And it feels even more important than ever to be mindful of our food choices, right? How there's this importance to support local farmers, to appreciate the preciousness of every bite. Mindful eating can really bring so much to our lives. It's not just about what you eat, but how you eat. It's about the experience. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the beautiful gifts that mindful eating can offer. I think first, it definitely can help us reduce overeating and emotional eating. If you think about those times when you feel yourself just kind of reaching for a snack, even when you're not really hungry or when you're feeling stressed, it's just that mindlessness eating, right? I think that happens a lot, like when we're watching something on TV, or we might go through a bunch of snacks that we might not have really wanted or needed if we were being mindful and being present. Mindful eating is almost like a gentle whisper, guiding you back to your body's natural signals. It helps you to become a little bit more aware of your truer hunger and those fullness cues. And sometimes we've trained our bodies really not to listen to those signals. So it's a nice little gentle whisper from within. So if you can make choices that truly nourish you, then it's like a way of, I feel like it's like a way of self-care, self-love, right? Something about it feels really sacred. And I think it really can support people to stop overeating. There's also this magic of improved digestion. So if you think about it, when we rush through a meal, we're often not chewing our food properly. And mindful eating invites us to slow down, to chew each bite fully, right? And to savor the flavors, right? It's lovingly massaging your insides and helping your body to break down the foods more efficiently. And this is so important, especially because when our nervous system is stuck in, fight or flight mode because of, stress and other things that you're experienced in life, our bodies prioritize survival over digestion. And so when we eat mindfully, we're signaling to our bodies that we are safe and that it's okay to relax and digest. Okay, and the increase in enjoyment of our food, I feel like, is really big when we eat mindfully, when we're truly present with every bite, and we appreciate the flavors and the textures of our meals. It is like tasting a work of art. I just really enjoy eating in that way. That simple apple, that piece of fruit, that delicious meal you've created becomes a moment of pure pleasure. Like, really, what's not to love about that? I had this experience just the other night. I spent about, 40 minutes carefully preparing dinner, and I realized something. I'm really big on sitting down for dinner with my kids, and I realized that when we sit down together as a family and we give our gratitude for the meal or, a prayer before that we're consuming, there's a connection, and it changes the whole experience. And for me, and I'm still practicing this with my teens, right? It's easier when you can control yourself because we can't control others. But teenagers, they're a whole different thing. They tend to inhale their food. I don't know if you've had this experience. And my kids, they do participate in our gratitude practice or our prayer right before dinner, and they engage in conversation, even if it's sometimes brief. We enjoy each other. And I take those small wins because ultimately it's about modeling. And I'm showing them that it's okay if our experience doesn't always match that dream that we've been talking about, right? That vision of how things are going to be, because it's often a little messier than we can imagine, right? But I can focus on slowing them down a little bit so they're not inhaling their food and finding the gratitude. I once went out to dinner at this lovely restaurant out here in Sac called Andy Nguyen's, and I was there with some other people, and our gratitude practice that night was a little different. I hadn't practiced it in that way, but we went around and we kind of named like 3 or 4 things on our plate that we were grateful for, but we didn't just name it, we sang it in the restaurant, and people would turn around and look, and a couple people commented like, "Oh, are you guys like a choir?" And it was fun. It was uncomfortable, and it was doing something that shifted our experience. And I invite you to try to do things that push you out of your comfort zone. I will say I haven't done that again, but I loved it and I would do it again. Yeah, so mindful eating is very powerful, right? Cultivating that sense of gratitude. And if we think about it, our food comes from the earth, right? The sun, the rain, the farmers who cultivate it. It is literally a gift. And it takes so many helping hands. And when we eat mindfully, you can express gratitude for the food that sustains you, for the earth that provides it, for the opportunity to nourish yourself. It's like a prayer of thanks, right? Whispered with every bite. And it's also said to make your food taste better. And maybe that's because we're just vibrating a little higher. Mindful eating, like this is going to be the final thing I say about this, but mindful eating can really help us to develop a healthier relationship with food. And it's not about achieving perfection or following a rigid diet. It's about finding harmony in this organic, natural, really beautiful song that's happening. Mindful eating can help us break free from restrictive eating patterns and to develop a more balanced and compassionate approach to food. And speaking of nourishment, let me just add that eating foods that are rich in probiotics and prebiotics can really help with your gut health, right? And we find that our gut health, inflammation and all of those things are what really causes dis-ease, causes anxiety and depression and a gamut of other things. And so it's really important to be conscious of our consumption and how we consume. So those are just a few of the gifts of mindful eating. It's about so much more than just what's on our plates. It's about the whole experience. It's about being present, being grateful, and choosing to nourish yourself in a way that honors not only your body, but your mind, your spirit, your soul. And this week I want to try something very simple. I invite you to choose one meal. That's it, just one meal, and eat it without any distractions. No phone, no TV, just you and your food. See what you notice. And of course, remember to be kind to yourself. Mindful eating, like any practice, it takes time and patience. So I definitely encourage you not to get discouraged if you find that your mind is wandering or if you struggle to slow down. Just gently redirect your attention back to your food with a little bit of kindness for yourself, right? There's no such thing as perfect. I also want to remind you that this practice of mindfulness is not about emptying your mind. I think that's all often like something that people think mindfulness is. So definitely a misconception, but it's about creating a space for awareness. It's about witnessing your thoughts and your emotions without judgment. And really choosing to respond with intention. It's about remembering that you are a divine being having a human experience. This month, I encourage you to find small ways to incorporate mindfulness into your daily life. Take a few mindful breaths throughout the day. Notice the sensations in your body. Paying attention to the world around you with that beginner's mind, right? And just bringing the quality of mindful presence to all that you do. And this week, bringing that mindful presence to your meals. I hope this session has provided you with a foundation for a mindful march. May this be a time of deep connection, healing, and growth. Once again, thank you for being here, either on Apple Podcast or YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a session here at the Sanctuary. Still welcoming your experiences. I want to hear your sanctuary voice. What does healing look like for you? Or whatever else you want to share. I'm here for it. You can connect at thesanctuarywithmoriahmyles at gmail.com. All together, no spaces. Or head over to IG. That's my_Mariah. Until next time, embrace each breath. And remember, our bodies have this innate wisdom, the beautiful ability to heal itself. And we heal best in community. Peace, y'all. While this podcast may feel like a therapeutic conversation, it is important to note that it is not a substitute for professional therapy or mental health. The information shared here is intended solely for educational purposes and should not be used as a replacement for personalized mental health care. Although I am a therapist, I'm not acting as your therapist in this setting. If you are in need of support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional.